Tonight, Wall Street sending a clear message about President Trump's effort to dramatically reshape the global economy. Major losses for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. President Trump taking the drop in stride.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
And on Air Force One tonight saying he is open to negotiations if other countries offer something, in his words, phenomenal, like a deal from China on the sale of TikTok.
The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have. I've used them very well in the first administration, as you saw, but now we're taking it to a whole new level because it's a worldwide situation.
After he slapped steep tariffs on trading partners like China, Vietnam, and India, administration officials fanned out to make the president's case.
For 40 years, we've had an economy that rewards people who ship American jobs overseas and raises taxes on American workers, and we're flipping that on its head.
The administration now defending the formula it used to determine tariff levels. President Trump said it was half of what those countries charged the U.S. through taxes and currency policies, but critics saying it was more arbitrary.
This is the reordering of fair trade. And what happens is people think it's all about tariffs. It's about those non-tariff trade barriers. The United States buys everybody's products. We buy everybody's goods. You just have to treat us fairly.
The European Union and China now preparing countermeasures. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney today vowed to match 25% auto tariffs on imports from the U.S.
Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over.
Already today, signs prices people pay are rising. Volkswagen announcing it will add an import fee to vehicles to reflect the 25% auto import tariff. Hyundai telling its dealerships prices are likely to rise. Democrats on the Hill are calling the president's trade policies a national sales tax.
We estimate families will be charged $5,000 a year on the purchases they make of imported products.
And despite this promise from the Rose Garden event yesterday,
jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country.
There's near-term disruption. Automaker Stellantis today said it will pause plants in Mexico and Canada, and that 900 workers in the U.S. will be temporarily laid off. And while the president says companies will start to make more products in America, economist Mark Zandi says that will take years if it happens at all.
The tariffs are done under executive order. They're not under law, and they can be changed by the stroke of a pen or the whim of the president. So I just don't see any major company making a big investment in the United States based on these tariffs.
And Christine, a lot of anxiety watching those numbers crossing the screen today when the markets were open. For people worried about their investments, what advice is there tonight?
So, Lester, for retirement savers, the important thing is when you need to tap that 401k or likewise that college fund. Of course, remember, over time, historically, stocks rise. But if you're close to retirement or you're sending that kid off to school, you should be talking to a financial professional. Now, the good news tonight is younger savers, they have time to weather all the ups and downs. Lester?
Christine Romans starting us off. Thank you. It remains to be seen exactly how the price you pay will be affected by these tariffs, but take a look at this. A huge number of smartphones sold here in the U.S. are manufactured in China. Since President Trump took office, imports from there now facing new tariffs of 54%. Many kitchen appliances Americans buy, like dishwashers that come from Italy, part of the European Union, hit with a 20% tariff. And so many of the shoes we wear come to the U.S. from Vietnam, where the tariffs are now set at 46%. Here at home, businesses are trying to figure out how much of these costs will get passed on to you. Brian Cheung has that part of the story.
President Trump says his sweeping tariffs on imports will level the playing field for American companies making products in the USA.
And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first.
But for American consumers, it could mean higher prices on some of the most well-known brands that make their products overseas, if they pass the cost of the tariff on to their customers. By one estimate, higher prices will cost the median household $690 annually. In electronics, Best Buy says they source about 55% of their products from China, and analysts estimate Apple assembles the majority of its iPhones there. In apparel, Nike made half its footwear last year in Vietnam, where Adidas also sourced the largest share of its goods. Tariffs impacting furniture, too. Wayfair says its products come from China and 5 Southeast Asian countries facing tariffs. And one of the bigger categories that could get hit, toys.
Tonka Steel Classics.
Basic Fun, maker of Care Bears and Tonka trucks, says a majority of their products are made in China.
A $29.99 Tonka Mighty Dump Truck, which is our classic, one of our most classic items, that will be a $39.99 Tonka truck this Christmas. There's no other way around it.
Basic Fun saying there are no factories in the U.S. that can make what they sell.
And there's no production here in the United States to shift to.
But in Ohio, the CEO of toy maker Simplay 3 tells us he supports the tariffs.
Bringing American jobs back here, that's really important.
His company makes all their products here in the U.S., so he says they won't have to raise their prices.
We're building it right here. We've got a strong workforce and the ability for the consumer to purchase it the same price that it was at Christmas time. I think they appreciate that.
The Trump administration also closing a loophole on the tax-free treatment of goods shipped directly from China, meaning those discounted Shein and Temu products will likely get pricier too.
So, Brian, I think a lot of folks right now are trying to figure out next move. Should they be thinking about buying products in anticipation of a hike?
Yeah, Lester, industry groups estimate that for imported smartphones and laptops, prices could rise by as much as $200 to $300 per unit. And for imported cars, they could rise by as much as $15,000. So for those categories, buying sooner rather than later might not be the worst idea. Although don't panic buy, only buy what you need, Lester.
All right, Brian, thank you. Now to the global fallout from all this. While President Trump says he's just asking other countries to pay the same tax they charge on American products, world leaders are stunned. Andrea Mitchell is with top NATO leaders in Europe. And Andrea, what are you hearing?
Lester, Secretary of State Rubio came to NATO to press Europe to spend more on defense. But Europe is up in arms about President Trump's tariffs. One minister telling me that the president is wrong. He's not calculating the trade deficit correctly, and that he is hurting global trade. European ministers plan to meet on Monday to talk about retaliating. They say proportionally. They don't want to escalate the trade war. And at the same time, Europe was already upset about the U.S. shutting them out of talks with Russia over Ukraine. Lester.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.